Right. Everything set up?
Yeah.
Lozenge. Check. Tea with honey. Check. A good vocal performance.
Check.
And plenty of water.
Check.
Good. Tracy thinks you're ready.
Sorry, folks. The story is a dinky and derpy fic, which means only one thing.
My voice has got to get this hanging.
And we all know that's murder on the vocal cords.
It could be worse, though.
Trixie, how could it be worse?
You could be doing an entire story centered around Tyrk.
Oh, gods. Yeah. The Lunaverse by Rainbow Double Dash. Episode 10. Dinky's Birthday by Talon and Thorn. Chapter 1.
Happy birthday, Dinky Doo.
Ditzy Doo gave a yawn and stretched as she rolled out of bed. She glanced towards the window where the sun was just starting to inch over the horizon. Given that the autumn was almost over, this was actually later than she would rise on most days. But then, this was not a normal day. This was one of the most special days of the year. Today was her daughter's birthday. Ditzy smiled to herself. It seemed like only yesterday that Dinky was a tiny thing, not much bigger than her hoof, and now she was growing so fast. She even got her cutie mark a week ago. In a way, she found it a little saddening that her daughter was changing so quickly. There is supposed to be a story about how Dinky got her cutie mark, but I can't find it. Ditzy shook herself. She shouldn't be thinking that way. She was proud of her daughter. She was so smart and mature, and now with her mark, she was almost a young mare. Well, maybe that was a bit of an exaggeration. Rubbing her eyes, she trotted out of her room and towards the bathroom. On the way, she stopped to listen at her daughter's door. She heard the squeak of bed springs as the filly tossed and turned. Ditzy grinned at her daughter's excitement on her special day. She better not make her wait too long. Ditzy trotted out to the bathroom, splashed some water on her face, and prepared herself as quickly as she could. She and Dinky had a long day ahead of them. In fact, a long weekend. And always, she got time off from work to spend with her daughter on her birthday. First, they went on around to Philly's presents. And it was presents this year, as her finances had been good, thanks to the reward for defeating Corona, and other cases the crown had called her at times. Then she and her daughter would cook a special birthday breakfast together, and spend the rest of the morning playing with her new toys. Then there was a special birthday party planned at Sugar Cube Corner. All of Dinky's friends would be there, as well as many of Ditzy's own. Trixie had been persuaded to put on a show. And by persuade, she meant the show bearer had begged to be allowed to. Yeah, like Trixie would ever miss a performance. Ditzy smiled at her recollection. You would have thought it was Trixie's own birthday. It's a shame her parents couldn't make it, but she and Dinky were due to catch a train to Philadelphia tomorrow and spend a few days with them. So that was almost as good. Carrot was even going to be tagging along on the journey to see her own family. It was odd to think the two of them had lived in the same city for years and never met. Still, it was a big city. Having finished watching, Ditzy trotted off to the living room to collect Dinky's presents from her hiding place. She was sure her daughter had known exactly where they were for weeks, but she, as a beanie and always, not even peeked in on them once. Well, maybe once or twice. The filly was only equine, but not more than that. With a grin, she picked up her daughter's presents and balanced them on her back. Last of all was a simple envelope. Ditzy stared at it for a moment, then the smile dropped to her face. What was she to do with it? Dear Dinky Doo, you have been granted acceptance to Celestia School of Magic and Wizardry. Each year in the days leading up to her daughter's birthday, she received a similar envelope containing a postal order with a few dozen bits. Hardly a princely sum, and nothing more. No note, no mention of who it was from. At first, Ditzy thought it might have been sent to her in error, if it weren't for her name on the envelope. Then, at Dinky's second birthday, she noticed a stamp showed the envelope was from Philadelphia, and had begun to suspect its source. It wasn't until she joined the post office that she managed to track the source in more detail. A much better part of town than her parents or any point in New she lived. almost any pony. Each year, she deposited payment into an account in her daughter's name, meaning to tell her about it when she was older. This year was different. The sum was higher, over 100 bits. And for the first time, there was a message. To Dinky, from your father. It was a sign. She knew her suspicion was correct. The check was from Castor Cut. She still didn't know what to do about it. She knew the circumstances leading up to Dinky's conception weren't exactly Castor's fault. Ditzy herself bore equal responsibility. She had destroyed Castor's family after all, but that didn't mean his abandonment hadn't hurt. It hurt more than she normally let on. What she should do? Dinky knew of her father now, but she should tell her daughter the gifts. What did the message in the latest mean? Did Castor want to meet his daughter? How would Dinky react when she found her mother had been keeping secrets from her? Ditzy had been struggling with the dilemma since the letter arrived, and seemed no closer to the solution. Take the letter to her daughter, or hide it. After dithering for a full of minutes, swinging this way and that, Ditzy returned the letter to her hiding place. As absurd as she was, Dinky was still too young to deal with this. Maybe next year. Or the year after. Kicking herself for her cowardice, Ditzy headed away towards her daughter's bedroom. She plastered a smile on her face and opened the door.
Morning, Muffin! She cried. Happy birthday! Morning, Mama!
Cried Dinky, leaping excitedly from her bed and rushing over to nuzzle her mother. As Ditzy expected, she had obviously been lying awake for some time.
It's your special thing!
She said. She hugged her daughter tightly, before carefully lowering the presents onto the ground.
Do you want to see how big you got this year?
Oh, God. All this stinky and derpy stuff is going to kill me, isn't it?
Trixie doesn't know. Are you diabetic?
I don't know, but I'm about to find out. With some effort, the foal dragged her eyes from a pile of gifts towards the doorway.
Yes, Mama,
she said eagerly as she scanned over and stood next to the yellow sheet of paper attached to the wall. On the chart were marks showing Dinky's height at each of her previous birthdays, all the way back to when she was first born.
Now stand still,
instructed Ditzy as her daughter stretched to seem as tall as she could. She smiled. Dinky was always excited about this, so any effect she might have on her own height canceled it out. She carefully drew a line in the chart at the position of her daughter's horn using a marker. She measured out the difference between last year and this one. It was more than a hoof.
You're growing up so quickly now, Muffin. At this rate, you'll be taller than me in a few years.
She was glad. Her daughter had previously been a little small for her age, and would have been worried that the diet she could provide wasn't enough. But it seemed like Dinky had been a little behind the curve.
Can you open my presents now, Mama?
Asked Dinky excitedly, jumping down in place. Ditzy grinned. Her daughter might be patient for her age, but she was still a foal.
Of course you can, dear. Just one at a time so we can keep track of where each of them came from and know who to thank. Chris, Mama!
The foal bounded forwards, began to tear at the bright paper covering the arches of boxes.
This one's from me,
said Ditzy. Her daughter lifted the lid off the box with her magic, accidentally crushing it in her excitement. Within, wrapped in paper, were 4-wheeled boots.
Skills!
Cried Dinky, trying on one of them.
And a helmet and knee pads,
pointing at Ditzy. When her daughter had first mentioned she liked skates, Ditzy had been worried that Dinky might hurt herself. But after a discussion with Heavy Roller, she had managed to solve her fears.
Yes, Mama,
said Dinky, hugging her mother, before turning to the next present.
That's from Miss Fluttershy,
pointing at Ditzy. She hoped the yellow-colored Pegasus would be able to make her daughter's party, but the timid pony locked up at the thought of being in a crowded environment. With a gasp of excitement, Dinky leapt over the smaller box and began to carefully peel the wrapping paper off.
Now, I don't want you to feel disappointed if it's not what you wanted,
warned Ditzy. Her daughter had been dropping hints of all year that she wanted a puppy. She considered it, since she was sure Dinky would take good care of a pet. But their house was a bit small for most breeds. If the unicorn was disappointed, she hid it well as she lifted the head to find a number of plush animals, including a puppy, a chicken, and a rabbit, which looked like it was styled on Angel's Fireside's pet Angel. This is going to kill me!
Oh, it's so cute!
She said, hugging the puppy doll, while eyeing the chicken warily.
be sure to thank Miss Fireside stuff next time I see her.
Dinky continued through the other presents. A card from her grandparents. They would give her actual present tomorrow. A game of battle clothes from Slow Script. One winter scarf and a few books, including one for Twilight. 70 simple spells for striplings. It was a shame the unicorn couldn't get to the party, but the library was supposed to be open and she couldn't break her parole. Finally, there was only a small box remaining.
That's another one from me, said Ditzy. I saw you eyeing it at the market.
Opening the packets, Dinky found it contained a white envelope tied up with a long pink ribbon. Biting her tongue in concentration, Dinky carefully used her aura to undo the bow.
It's beautiful,
she sighed, holding the silk in front of her and running her muzzle along with it, enjoying the feel. Oh no, don't give her a ribbon. She's already cute enough.
You did say you liked it. Now, hold still.
Ditzy took the ribbon in her hose and carefully tied it to her daughter's mane. It was a bit long, and the end stretched almost to the ground, so she tucked it in a bit to make it look a bit tighter.
Here you go.
Dinky suddenly scampered over to her mirror and spun around a few times to try to get a good look.
It's wonderful. Thanks, Mama.
Here lies Legend Bringer, a good life reader, a person who can actually get his voice that high, is now dead, killed by an overly cute pony. Have any last words, Marshall for Easer? Yes, I'm going to take a 5-second break to look at something manly for a moment. Be right back.
Dinky smiled and picked up the discarded envelope. You might want to take a look at this as well. She pulled out several pieces of paper. Tickets to the Cloudsdale Coliseum. The Coliseum!
Gaped Dinky.
Yes, I know how disappointed you were when we found out your vouchers didn't cover it. And Miss Twilight could cast a cloud walking spell so you can wander around as much as you want.
She had the unicorn cast it several times on other ponies first, and made sure it would last for 3 days at a minimum, just to make sure of her daughter's safety. Dinky rushed over to her mother again.
This is the best birthday present ever! There'll be more presents at your party, but I hope you're hungry, Muffin, because it's time to make our special birthday breakfast.
Yelling excitement, it's getting to avoid crashing to the door. Dinky galloped off towards the kitchen, the ends of her new ribbon flowing behind her. Ditzy smiled at her daughter's joy, all bad thoughts forgotten for the moment, and followed her sedately out of the room. Things didn't get better at this. Looked at it objectively, the new family's birthday special breakfast wasn't all that special. Pancakes topped with ice cream, certainly more than Ditzy could afford mostly in her tighter years, but not excessive. However, Ditzy always felt it was more special because she and her daughter worked together to make it. Even when Dinky had been too small to do much, her mother made sure she helped make the batter. She felt it made them taste better, even if they were a little lumpy. By the time Ditzy made it to the kitchen, her daughter had pulled out the stool, which allowed her to reach the table, and was waiting, one leg already on it, ready to leap into action. Ditzy grinned at her daughter's impatience. At the rate she was growing, she wouldn't even need the stool in a few years. She collected the various ingredients for the recipe, and laid them down on the table while Dinky stood watching.
Okay, Muffin, start whisking the egg and milk while I heat up the butter.
Dinky drank care. Dinky carefully lifted the egg, provided by Fluttershy, with her aura and tapped it against the side of the jug, biting her tongue in concentration. While eyeing the stove, Ditzy kept an eye on Dinky, something her condition made a little easier. Her daughter's magic had come on in leaps and bounds over the last year, but she still had several sparrow eggs in place of a case of accidents. After a few trial taps, she broke it and poured most of the content into the jug, before adding the milk and beginning to mix them with a whisk. She was a little too enthusiastic to start off with, and some of the mixture splattered on the counter, but not much. Smiling, Ditzy watched the butter melt in the pan and started to put her mouth on the guard to pick it up. Chirped Dinky. Before Ditzy could say anything, the pan was surrounded by a pink aura and moved smoothly to the jug, pouring its golden contents in before Dinky returned to her whisking. Ditzy spat out the mouth guard and looked at her daughter reproachfully.
You should have told me before you did that.
Dinky stopped for a moment, looking guilty.
Sorry, Mama. I forgot.
No harm done.
Just remember next time, dear.
Ditzy turned and began to mix the remainder of the ingredients in a bowl. She had done her daughter and the milk, the egg, butter mix, and began to beat the batter. Soon it was thick and smooth. Ditzy turned back the pan and made sure it was all still hot and greased.
Be very careful now, and ladle in a scoop,
she instructed. Her daughter compiled and a dollop of batter began to hiss as it rose in the pan. Ditzy took the spatula in her mouth but prepared to turn the pancake.
I can do that, Mama. I don't know, Muffin. The pan is very hot. I don't want you to hurt yourself.
She was always nervous about Dinky using the stove. It wasn't the newest of models, and she's scared enough using it herself sometimes. Give her a poor death perception, let alone risking her daughter.
Don't
said Dinky. Her horn glowing, she backed away from the stove.
I'm stealing from back here. All right, then, but still be careful,
said Ditzy, putting down the spatula. To her surprise, rather than her daughter's aura surrounding the implement, they covered a half-cooked pancake and flipped it over.
Here, Mama, all done safely.
Ditzy gave her daughter a pat on the head, although within her something felt a little off.
Okay, that's the first one. How many do you think you'll want?
She asked. The rest of the cooking went smoothly, as Ditzy and her daughter sat down to eat a tall pile of pancakes lying between them.
Now, I got ice cream to go with them, explained Ditzy. Or, I got an extra special treat for your extra special day. Oh, what is this?
asked Dinky, her eyes wide. With a smile, Ditzy brought out her greatest treasure, a full jar of sap apple jam. The magical condiment was normally well out of her price range, but a few weeks ago she bumped into Big Macintosh Apple at the market, and it revealed that one of the jars in the latest batch had gotten damaged, and thus was unsellable. It looked only like a few chips to Ditzy, but how did she know? The Red Stallion kindly offered to give her the jam for free, but insisted that she pay for it, and they haggled for a few moments, until they reached a mutually agreeable and still hugely discounted price. As she left to continue her shopping, she noticed Mac pass the coins to Apple Bloom, who vanished and returned a little later with ice creams, not only for herself, but Dinky and several of her friends as well. Come to think about it, she's seen the handsome stallion around town more often since he's rescued Dinky from those gangsters. He was often hanging around the post office or the school. She guessed he was making sure nothing happened to Dinky or his sister. She certainly felt safer when the muscular stallion was around.
Well, Mama,
cried Dinky, pulling Ditzy from her thoughts.
I've never tried it before, but Apple Bloom says Sap Apple Jam is the best thing ever. Yeah, I guess we should try some and find out, shouldn't we?
Said Ditzy, spreading the jam over several of their pancakes. She never actually tried anything either, but was told an experience.
Here you go,
she said, passing the plate to her daughter, who nibbled at the side of a pancake with a little trepidation.
Makes my tongue tingle.
Announced Dinky.
It's magic! It tastes like strawberries!
She took a second larger bite.
Oh, it tastes like mint!
Ditzy tried a mouthful and found that the magical sage flavor she chewed. First like an orange, then vanilla, then apple. Asked Dinky, looking up from her empty plate.
Of course,
said Ditzy, pushing over another treat. Now, you see, it's these type of additions like, making Zap Apple Jam change flavors every time you take a bite. It's the type of stuff I enjoy. They finished their food quickly, and Ditzy puts the dirty dishes in the sink. Normally, she cleaned them straight away, but today she didn't want to waste any time she could be spending with her daughter.
What now, Muffin?
Asked Ditzy. Maybe they could try out the new Battle Clouds game together, or start to read one of Dinky's new books.
Go play with me, Skits?
Asked Dinky, already strapping on her helmet.
Of course we can,
began Ditzy. It'd be nice sometimes to spend some daughter outside. Maybe they could go to the park.
I'm really so scared of how fast I can go. And Apple Bloom will lost me ribbon in the little one to where you're going to the costume.
Continued the pilot Veil Unicorn.
You want to play with your friends now?
Asked Dinky, Ditzy, swallowing hard.
Yes, I'm going to tell them all the cool stuff I have. You know, I'm going to be back in time for the party.
Ditzy fought hard to try and stop the disappointment showing on her face. Of course, her daughter wanted to play with her friends rather than her mother. What fool wouldn't? Must he have all the afternoon to do that at the party? Now it's supposed to be their time for the two of them. But looking down at her daughter's smiling face, she couldn't say no. It's her birthday after all.
Of course you can, dear,
Replied Ditzy, trying to fit a smile on her face.
Just make sure you're back in time to get ready for your party. Yes, Mama.
Sticking out Dinky as she runs towards the door. Bouncing skates on her back.
Just remember your scarf. It's cold out.
She cried, causing her daughter to pause and grab the knitted scarf in her mouth, or she went careening down the stairs. Ditzy stood still for a moment, looking at her suddenly quiet house and the pile of dishes in the sink. She guessed she would make a start on them. She sighed, only expected that Dinky would like to spend time with her friends. Now she was growing up, her special talent was making friends after all. At least they got to make breakfast together. Only they hadn't, they? Dinky had done almost all the work. It was only her paranoia about the stove that stopped her daughter from doing anything. Given another year, would she have any need for her mother's help in cooking at all? Soon, she wouldn't need her mother for anything. Ditzy looked around her small house. Everything was perfectly spotless and in place. Not a speck of dust to be seen. Perfect. She sighed. No need to clean then. Normally that would eat up an hour or so, maybe a little longer. She had tons of arthritis in her wings nowadays that made reaching higher levels out a bit of a challenge. She looked around for something to do. Maybe she could make some tea? No. She drank all she possibly could today. She glanced out the window. The sun was still low in the sky. Almost a whole long, empty, lonely day stretched out in front of her. She shook herself. No, not lonely. Not today. Today was a special day. Dinky was visiting today. They could go for a walk, talk, like they used to. She glanced up at the clock. Its pendulum splitting infinity into smaller and smaller chunks. Once I was 7 years old. Her daughter was a bit late, but she would never leave her old mother hanging, would she? There was a knock on the door. Ditzy almost jumped. A grin spread across her lined face. She was just being silly. This must be Dinky now. She tried over the door, slowly opened to reveal her daughter. No longer was Dinky the little ball of purple fur that she'd been in her youth. Now a beautiful, strong mare in the prime. A wife, a mother, an important diplomat, thought Ditzy with pride. Hi, Mom, said Dinky nervously, rubbing a hoof on the back of her head.
Good to see you, dear,
said Ditzy with barely concealed joy. She leaned forward to give her daughter a muzzle. The younger mare felt a little stiff to the touch.
Let me get my shawl and we can go for a walk. How are the twins? It's been ages since I've seen them. How are they at school? They graduated last year, Mum. Chef has joined his father's company, and Hawk works up at Golden Harvest. Look, I'm sorry. There's been a bit of a mix-up.
The blood ran cold in Ditzy's veins. This was a special day. Please let it be nothing wrong.
Mix-up? Something came up at work. I'm sorry. I can't stay. The princess needs me back. Maybe we can reschedule for next month? Or the month after? Maybe hot swimming? Oh,
mumbled Ditzy, her head drooping.
I understand. You're a busy mayor. I'm sure we could do this someone else. I'll find something to do.
She glanced around the house. Spotless. Ditzy shook herself. She was just being silly. Her daughter wouldn't abandon her. She still needed her. But less than she used to, whispered a dark part of her. She was proud that her daughter seemed so independent and strong. She replied, but she did miss it a little. For her daughter needed her to chase away the monsters under the bed. Or sing her to sleep. This is touching me in weird places. Maybe she could see this as a good thing. Have more time to herself. Maybe she could take up a hobby. Bowling, athletics. She made a relay team at school. Might even start dating again. Certain recent events showing her how life could be what was styling in it. She should look at the positive side of her daughter's independence. But it didn't seem that bright. I swear, one person in the comments makes a single joke about cats in the cradle with a silver spoon, and I swear to Celestia, they are going to get a really bad fanfic next time!